It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Friday, January 17th, and so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, do not follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. Of course, we have more testimonies and interviews, and of course, until the end with Daniel Baker. So I hope, and of course, commentaries, updates, news on what is happening around the world in this history today. Okay? So, all right, everyone, how are you doing? It is a wonderful and awesome Friday. Hope you guys have enjoyed your week thus far. We have the weekend ahead of us. Don't forget, of course, we're going to be getting back into our regular schedules pretty soon. Of course, I'm still on a tour in America at the moment, and pretty crazy. Right now, I am recording this while me and Wanchan are driving up to San Francisco from LA. It's going to be about a 6-hour drive, so we're going to be enjoying it. Yes, it's me, it's Sky, and here is Wanchan.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
He is driving at the moment, so I want to make sure that none of us will get into an accident live on the air, and then, it'll be posted, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, what happened? Yeah, no accidents happening here, but yeah, if you guys have any questions, Q&A Thursday is going to be happening again from next week, so get those questions ready, send them to me whenever you can, and if you haven't yet, for today's podcast, go ahead and, like it, leave a comment. Would love to have you guys build our community together. I'm just happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive, so let's get up and support each other each and every day. This week's Sunday message title is Be Perfect. Okay, so yes, everyone, we are driving up to San Francisco. It's my last stop here in America before I head back to Korea, so I will be heading directly from San Francisco to Korea. It's kind of cool. This is more of like a very Western thing to go on a road trip. Like in New Zealand, it's such a small country. Are there like a lot of like people doing road trips up there?
Yeah, we do. I think a lot of the time we do like a road trip up to our vacation areas. And being from Wellington, which is at the most southern tip of the North Island, we would drive up to an area called the Coromandel, which is about 8 hours maybe, and we would have a batch in a place called Whangamata. So we would stop along the way. A batch is like a holiday home next to the beach, and so we would drive up and stop along the way, visit friends, family, stay with people.
Wait, how many hours is that to get there?
Can't remember. I think it's about 8 hours, 8 to 9 hours. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's a lot bigger than I thought it was. 8 hours is a really long drive. Like we're going on a 6-hour drive right now, which is quite long, right? I think the longest road trip I've been on was Canada. I was in Vancouver driving down to LA, and I think that was about 19 hours driving, right?
Oof.
Yeah.
I did I've done long trips as well. We went from an area, Vancouver, all the way to Cranbrook. So that's a long drive. How many hours is that?
I don't know.
It's like 15 maybe?
Dang.
I don't remember. But actually when I was living in Canada, I did a bike trip. And the bike trip was 1,200 kilometers.
Jeez.
So it took me 2 weeks, but I stopped along the way. Like during that time, I just visited family and friends. But a long trip on my bike.
Okay, that's interesting. Like a 1,200 mile or kilometers?
Kilometers.
A 1,200, because that's completely different, right? So still a lot. 1,200 kilometer bike trip. So for me what's interesting about this is like, what would make anyone want to do this? And I know that you did this alone. It wasn't like you were with someone. So, like, what's in your mind, and what would make you want to do a bike trip like this?
That's a good question. I think it's something that uniquely I like to do, is to push myself a little bit. At that time, I was living in Canada, and it was COVID time. I felt so like in a cage. I think I just needed to get out. I needed to do something very stimulating. I like to push myself. Like, I like to do hikes where I really push myself up mountains. But here, like, I just wanted to go on a solo expedition before I left to my next destination. And the idea of an adventure where there's some sort of element of danger, or, you know, there's that curiosity of what's out there, and then pushing yourself along a road. I was going like 200 kilometers a day sometimes. And you want to reach a limit in some sense. Like, you want to push yourself, and you want to feel, I don't know, I feel alive when I'm really pushing myself. And like, every night I'd have to find a place to sleep. So I brought a tent with me. Like, it's called what is it called? Bike camping? Anyway, so everything was on my bike, and I had my food, like everything with me, so that I'd stop along the way, and I would tie my food up in a bag in a tree, because there's the kind of potential risk of bears that can like come and smell out the food. And even when I got it, so I went, actually the journey was around the island of Vancouver, so Vancouver Island. And so I went to the very top of Vancouver, and when I got there, I actually hiked 1.5 marathons worth of walking to the very northernmost tip of the island. And I was there. There's a danger of wolves, I guess, or whatever, cougars. But I don't think that's for everyone. But yeah, I spent the night on the beach it was really fun. But I think it's just my uniqueness, why I push myself like that.
Okay, so while you're taking this crazy trip for like 1,200 kilometers, my question to you would be, where was the moment like you think you'd hit your limit? Like, you'd be like, oh, this is like, I don't know if I can go any further than this.
Actually, that happened on the second day. Because the first day I went about 150 kilometers on my bike, and I think some of the settings, like the height of the seat, where my foot was on the pedal, like when you're repetitively doing the same movement, and which your body is not used to, because I wouldn't say I really prepared. Like, I cycle every day, but I didn't prepare for such a long trip. My knees started to give out, and when I say my knees were giving out, there was so much pain in my knees, like the ligaments down the sides. So I reached a limit when I was going up one of the hills that was going towards Tofino, a beach on the west coast. And as I was going up the hill, I was screaming, not just out of pain, because it was painful, but kind of like, I don't want to quit. And I can't quit, and I can't go back. Not only because people had told me I can't do this, but because I want to do this. I want to be successful and get it done to the end. And so even I was calling God to help me, to give me the idea so that I wouldn't have to fail. And I got the idea how to actually overcome that situation. So calling God worked. But it was so much frustration, and it was hard.
Man, like that, and that's day 2 of a 14-day trip. So that's pretty. That's crazy. Like, if it was already, like, I would be a little bit different. I'd be, if it was day 7 or day 8, I'd be like, okay, just push through.
It was the intense pain. It was the intense pain.
The intense pain of your knee. Yeah, that's something that's pretty. Like, even for me, I'm more of an extrovert, so I would prefer to go with people. However, I do think COVID changed me. COVID did change me, because I was forced into lockdown and I was forced being alone and going through that torture and pain and like that, the mental anguish of just being alone. And I think it's more of a character thing. It's just my personality is I'm just super extrovert, but the thing I like about myself now is that I actually do like that time of being alone. Like I'll go to a cafe, I'll have, my trip is not a 1,200 kilometer trip. It's like a 3 kilometer trip to the cafe, and I'll get a nice coffee and I'll like people watch or car watch and just kind of like have those thoughts go through my head and such. But, I now very much appreciate the alone time. I do. And
I went through that as well. I think there's a point where I visited Korea, and it was just before Korea was locked down and all like the gates were closed to come into Korea to foreigners. And I was forced into complete isolation for 2 weeks, and the 2 weeks was torture. But the hard thing was that I made a mistake because I was going to go to Walmingdong at that time, and you can't go to Walmingdong, so you can't do lockdown, like isolation. And I went out and ate with somebody, and because of that, they said you have to do another 2 weeks before you can come to Walmingdong. So I spent another 2 weeks in isolation, and that destroyed me because I was by myself, and I'm locked in a room. I'm not supposed to go out. I can't go like basically exercise, and like I had some food. I had a friend like cooking for me, but and then I had also food I can cook and stuff. But it was awful. It was probably one of the worst tortures you could do. Yeah.
Yeah, like I totally get that, because for me it was torture for the first 2 months. Like it was like 2 months of torture being alone when I was in Malaysia. There's this one point I was like in lockdown and such, and the interesting thing about my situation was it's because I'm such an extrovert, I had to find a way to not be alone while being alone. And that's when I started the podcast. Like I started this MSD podcast in that loneliness and thinking to myself that, hey, even though I will not directly be getting someone talking right back to me, but on YouTube, I send it out and then you'll get comments, right? On YouTube, you'll get comments, or people will contact you, say, oh, I really liked your podcast today, this, and this. And that kind of began my this journey here. And I think that's it was kind of God's way of pushing me towards starting this podcast almost 5 years ago now, because it was 2020, March 16th when I started. Like I started on 316 in 2020, and now in 2 months it's going to be a 5-year anniversary for MSD, which is, I don't know, it's 5 years. It's a huge milestone. Yeah. I can't wait till it hits like 2,000 episodes, which is going to be in year 9, I believe. Okay. Year 9. Oh no, year 8. No, 4, 8. Yeah, around year 8 is going to be the 2,000th episode, which is really, really big for me. But yeah, that's something that
it's gonna be like a kind of prize or something.
I keep thinking about those types of things, and I think last time on my other channel, I did give away an iPad.
I remember.
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool to be able to give that away. I don't even remember who won, to be honest. I don't even remember who won, but it was just cool to be able to do that type of thing. For me, it's quite interesting, because by the time you guys by Monday, like next week Monday, I'll be Sunday night. On Sunday night, I'll be flying back to Korea, which is going to be quite interesting, because I've been here for so long. It's going to be like I need to adjust back into the culture of Korea. Not just a jet lag, but I'm going to be going back into the culture. It's going to be like a 12-hour flight, plus another 17 hours time zone difference, which means I leave on Sunday night and I'll arrive in Korea on a Tuesday. It's like you lose an entire day from that. So that's kind of wild for me to think that I've lost an entire day, right? But on the way here, I gained a day, kind of thing. But I'm actually happy, because one of the things that I really prayed about was having my own home. Like, of course, I don't own the house in Korea, but it's my own place that I have not designed, but my own, organized furniture, decorations, everything else. I've done that, right?
Touch on it.
Yeah. Got my own bed, I got everything else. And
IKEA?
Actually, in Korea, they have IKEAs, but it's like 2.5 hours away from Wonmyeongdong. So I have to drive really far out. I went to IKEA once already, but most of the stuff is just internet shopping. There's like a bunch of places you could buy like sofas and like beds and everything else, and I got everything done. So it's official. I had a friend help me out, and they did the last bits and pieces of it. So it's finally done, except for one room, which is the smallest room, and it's just I just got to buy a desk and a chair, and I'm done. Maybe get a small carpet in there, or maybe get a small sitting area where it can also convert into a bed, kind of thing. So
We get like a prayer closet.
actually, it's small enough to be a prayer closet, to be honest. That small room is very, very small. It could fit probably one single bed and just enough space to walk to the door.
So you can have like visitors there as well, right?
Yeah, because I also have a sofa that people can sleep on also. It's a very like long sofa that's like 2.2 meters long. So it's,
I'll be visiting.
yes, you can visit. Yes, you can. Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about actually going home to a home. And I think that's really important for a lot of, for me at this age.
Yeah.
I don't know, like
I feel the same way. Yeah, I feel the same way.
like it's like a place I can call my own, and a place where it's just, sorry, my ears are clogging up because we're going down. We were at like a 3,000 foot elevation, like 1,000 meters, and then now we're heading down elevation.
Valley.
Yeah, we're in a valley, so me and Wanchan, our ears are just popping. Yeah, but I that's one of the prayers I had, is to have my own place. So this is another prayer that has really, really come true right now. Like, what are your thoughts on, like, because right now you don't actually have a home? Because, for us running full-time Providence, we're always living with someone. There's always someone we're living with, always someone, that you don't get a choice either, right? And it's just part of living in this history. But I'm like, 6-7 years older than Wanchan, something like that. And yeah, I guess it's part of my age, but I just need a place.
I agree. No, I'm at that age now where you do stop praying. I guess it's like independence, where you can have your own place. Because everyone experiences this, that when you're always sharing things with people, then it's not always done the way that you want, or things aren't left the way that you want, or you don't have to deal with other people. And it's not just that, but it's like it's not yours. Like that feeling of ownership, I think, it comes with having your own place, as you can understand. So I do pray for that as well. Obviously we need to win the lottery so we can buy our own homes, but it's still a request I have to the Lord. Yeah.
Well, I think I am. For me, I don't have literally, I don't own the place, but I have a place, kind of thing. So, yeah, I think it's the next stage. We can win the lottery to get our own home later on, but for now, I'm okay with renting a place. And one thing cool about Korea is they have the jeonse, which basically means you put down a huge lump sum and you pay no rent for like 2 years and stuff like that. So I think that's awesome, because there's literally no rent for 2 years. All I do is pay electricity, water, gas, and I just paid it for the first month, and it cost me 51,000 won. which is a great price for my rent.
$35. $35 USD.
Yeah, it's awesome, right? So I'm really, really happy about that, but I'm very, very much looking forward to that. You know, we were actually expecting to be driving past the wildfires. Like, Wanchan gave me some hope that we would see, like, the burning hell that we could, we be driving by, but we saw absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
It's very disappointing, actually, because with all the news and all the things that maybe even internationally people have heard, like people were even saying that the Hollywood sign was burning down, but yeah, we didn't see any fires. Yeah, as we hoped, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, and we're not hoping to see destruction. We just wanted to see what it really like. We're just looking to see what actually happened.
Yeah, we
like
want to see it.
we want to.
We want to see it firsthand.
Yeah. We don't want to, like, it's almost like being in the church area. We don't see nothing. We don't smell anything. So we don't. It's hard to really feel the fires also. But yeah, it's very, very interesting just to look at the wildfires and see, just to kind of see it firsthand. But something really powerful and crazy, and I think it's something that that's super hopeful, is like the leaders here in LA actually sent a letter to Sunsteam sending pictures and the condition of what's going on with the LA wildfires, and Sunsteam actually responded, and Sunsteam was like, I'm watching it on TV, and he prayed for it too, but then he said, you guys need to pray for it. So that's an interesting thing he kind of said, is like, I've seen it on TV, but you guys need to pray. Like, what would be your thoughts on what does that mean when Sunsteam says you guys need to pray?
Okay. That is a good question. I don't have a complete answer. But as I think about it, to understand, I think about the only way to understand, I think, is to pray and to receive the inspiration that comes through prayer. At the start of this year, or at the end of last year too, with all the commotion, with all the difficulties that we're going through in the world, but as well as that, I think the focal point is in Providence. We need to really consider what God is doing, and nothing is by accident. Something said last year that, when we think about natural disasters or the different things that happen, like epidemics or these sort of things, that they're not nothing. And we need to pray that we realize God's heart and become one with them. So I guess that's what he means, is we have to pray and recognize what God is doing at this time, and then become one.
Yeah, I think it's. I'm thinking I think the exact same thing is, like, we're not going to really know until we pray about it. Another thought that came to me, though, I thought was quite interesting, is that it almost feels like Sunsteam is acknowledging its judgment. It's like, you guys need to pray about it, kind of thing, because I think everyone here and in America, we do have that feeling like this is judgment, like this is really, really happening, and. We were even discussing is like, oh, look at the area that it's, that is taking. And we talked about it yesterday about Hollywood, the people that people idolize. And it's something that we were even considering, like, but what about the people who came against Providence, right? Like, what if they're in that area too, or something along that line? So it's really, really eye-opening. And like that. Those are some things that it would be good to research on too. But I think the most important thing is, I think it's quite amazing that in Sunsteam's circumstance, he's like answering letters about something that's happening halfway across the world, right? But it is something very, very. I think it's worldwide. Like, I talk to anyone in Australia. I talk to them. I have people from Korea asking me, like, are you okay? I heard about the fires. Like, people are all seeing this happening. So when I looked at that, I was like, yeah, that's pretty interesting how this is actually happening.
I think some of the discussions that we've had, even in regards to, because it's a literal fire, right? So, as you start to think about the judgment of fire lesson, God sends the spiritual fire, which is symbolic of fire, right? But it's the word of God, and that is the judgment. And the principle that we learn from Sansim is that there's always a spiritual judgment that comes first. Actually, when we look at it, that is God's love, because receiving the word of God, it gives us the direction of how we should take action. Like, should we repent? And I guess one of the topics that was brought up that people have had the chance to listen to the word, yet they rejected it, or they did not acknowledge it. And, you know, I guess as sensitive a topic as it is because of what's happening in LA, we can't not think about it being like something very physical, a physical kind of judgment that's happening. And it's a scary thing because like when we think about those homes that are destroyed, but the ash and the fires, that all presents like a very a scary situation for everybody. So everyone's under that umbrella of judgment, even those members that are here in LA, you know, even though it's not directly hitting us, but it indirectly, yeah, it does pose a potential danger. Or, you know, the ash that is clouding the sky, like people can't land in the airport. It makes it heavy. Like, I woke up one day and it's really, I felt like I was smoking all night, because not that I smoked before actually, but you know, the sensation of heavy lungs and like a gravelly voice because my throat was just kind of, it felt disgusting. Like those sort of things, like it affects everybody. So yeah, something said to pray. So we're praying.
But I heard that there's some testimonies too. Like some members have like stores or like houses like really close to the fires. Yeah, like there's one testimony I heard from one of the leaders in LA, and what happened was there is one person's store that's 10 minutes away from the fires. So basically, from his store, he can see the fires, and he prayed, and the winds shifted to another direction. It's pretty intense. I was just like, whoa. Like there's some of these testimonies out there too that I think are pretty powerful also. But you know, this, like when we talk about judgments and stuff like that, which is, you know, something that we are experiencing, we know because it's like the judgment of the time period of what's happening to the man of mission and such. There was a letter that Sunseam gave to one of the churches here in America, and there's this one sentence that really kind of hits. And what Sunseam said in this letter was, you must receive the tribulation of the time period. You must receive it just like the time of Jesus. And, yeah. So I was sitting there like going, whoa, like we're used to the things like, hey, overcome, do this, you know, and, you know, pray, then you can get over it. But now Sunseam straight up says, receive the tribulation of the time period just like the time of Jesus. Like it's something that it's going to happen. The tribulation's going to happen, but you have to receive it. And it's a completely different message, and it makes me think way more deeply about what is happening right now. Like, what do you think about receive? Yeah.
That is very interesting. I probably need more time to really articulate what I would say about it, but I think that we've got to the point in history now, even if I think if we go specifically America, here where I'm running, I think that we get to the point where God is making history, and whether it's good, whether it's tribulation, we need to go hand in hand together with the Lord and overcome it. I think that it presents an opportunity as well, because with through the process of tribulation, you learn a lot. You go through heart-wrenching pain sometimes. It could be not like physical. It could be like a mental thing, a spiritual thing. But in the end, like Sanseem always says, like go to the end, because that's when you win. That's when you succeed. And I think that we'll it's kind of like, if you think about it at an individual level too, like when those things come in your life, you grow up a lot, you change, you mature. Of course, if you succeed. If you don't, if you leave, then you don't grow up, you don't change, and you don't grow to be someone that God can actually use. So I guess when we see that, maybe it presents a challenge and potential of a lot of growth if you see it in a positive sense.
The funny thing is when I read that thing about when Sussy said receive the tribulation of the time period, it kind of reminds me, I'm not sure if you guys remember this, the very first, the Daniel Craig James Bond movie. Like, he came out with the new James Bond that was kind of more buff and more rugged and stuff. There's this scene when he gets tortured at the end, right? And he's like, yeah, I want more, give it to me. Like, I thought, like, that's the kind of the image I had in my head of receive the truth. Like, come on, like, take it like a man kind of thing. I'm like, just bring it on, bring it on.
Do you remember the torture? Do you remember the torture that he's undergoing?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And
Right.
I don't know why that image came to mind, because that is the most painful torture for any man. After that, he couldn't walk. He was in a wheelchair and stuff like that too, but he took it like a man.
Like a champ. Yeah.
So, like, when I heard that, I was like, ooh, like, we're going to become real men. Real men after this, taking it, I know for, like, a guy, I know that, like, for a girl, it's a bit different. Like, if you have a scar on your face, the girls are going to be like, oh no, like, I'm ruined. But when a guy has a scar, we're like, yeah, this is from Vietnam War or whatever it is. And people are like, yeah. And all the guys are, like, together, like, feeling it. And they feel like this person's more of a man because of the scar on their face, or they have a patch, oh, I'm missing an eye kind of thing. We see that as more manly, right? So when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that's the thing that we got to do, is got to take it, right? Don't feel like, oh God, why is this happening?
I was actually thinking about this the other day, slightly different direction to what the more physical things, but the war stories that people come back with, they become like a medal. The stories that of overcoming obstacles or saving someone, right? The heroism that you go through in order to succeed. Those become a great merit and righteousness, if you think about it at a spiritual level. And I think that that's kind of something that we really hope for. And it presents a lot of discomfort, though. Like, there's going to be a lot of discomfort that goes through that process. So we have to be willing to undergo the discomfort in order to gain those great, tremendous stories that Sunseam said. Those are the things you're going to be watching for the next for eternity, right? In the heavens. So those stories is what we want. Like, if you don't do anything with your life, right? What are you going to show? Like, you want to show something that you've done. So it's, of course, it's kind of scary that whatever is coming, but it's also, there's hope, which is a big topic. Yeah.
Actually, I think me and I'm not sure if I had this conversation. I think it was me and Wonchun. We were talking about this yesterday too. Is the one thing that's really quite interesting is some people were tested because after the rapture, there's more tribulation, and people are like, oh, why is there more tribulation? We got rapture, we're this and that, right? But there's another part of the letter that Sunseam gave to one of the churches here. And in that same letter, when he says, receive the tribulation, he says, these things come because the man of mission has triumphed. Which is kind of like, all this tribulation, all these things are happening because it's over. Like, the man of mission has triumphed, so Satan is going to attack even more. And if you parallel it to 2,000 years ago, even after Jesus died and resurrected and salvation came, there was still like 400 years of tribulations and Christians being killed in the Colosseum. It was the exact same thing. Like, there's the man of mission triumphed and people are getting killed, right? So, like, if we look at it from that light, it's very, very easy to say that, we're still, this is, history repeats itself. It's happening the same way. So that's another good thing that we can think about. Like, this is not extraordinary or unusual. It's happened before too. All right. So yeah, it's this is another great segment with having this style of. I'm not sure how long we can do this because I'm only going to be here for another 3 more days in America, and then I'm heading over to Korea. But yeah, I hope that we can all gain a lot from this. Put your comments below. Would love to hear what you guys are thinking about this too. And of course, we do have Daniel Baker with Until the End coming up after the first music break, or the only music break with what we're doing nowadays until we get back into the normal programming. So without further ado, let's get into the music break of the day.
Ooh, na, na. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, na, na. Yeah, yeah. Let me tell you something. Whatever them people say, they can tell me nothing. If I was gonna tell one thing that I know for sure, that I know. You're my lover, my teacher, Messiah. They ain't gonna make you retire. You fulfill God's realest desires. You got me, ooh, ah, ooh. You're the one and only one who can take my spirit higher. Choose the button so I see them make me lighter. When I meet you in the prayer, make my words go poof. Yeah, watch them disappear. No more fear, yeah, left it in the rear. Thanks to you, I got the golden city visa. Got me singing like, ooh, ah, ooh. You're my lover, my teacher, Messiah. They cannot make you retire. You just keep spitting that fire. Ooh, na, na. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, na, na. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, na, na. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, na, na. Yeah, yeah.
Have you ever seen a man with a love so great? He gives everything, even to the ones who hate. 77 times over, yet he does it again. Just to save their soul, just to change their fate. All these knives in his back, yet he never hesitates. Waging a war of love and peace, he's quick to demonstrate. When they escalate the venom, he just elevates. Rises above it, he just does it. No two ways about it. Do it till the end, that's his motto. Divine logos, yes, you've heard it before. Don't forget it, say it loud on the megaphone. I wanna hear it ring in my head like a telephone. Still working miracles in the worst situations. Fresh manna from heaven on a daily occasion. That's the one that I serve, the author of salvation. Resolve the fundamental problem for individuals, families, and nations.
Ooh, na, na. Yeah, yeah. 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 Let me tell you something. Whatever them people say, they can tell me nothing. If I was gonna tell one thing that I know for sure, that I know. You're my lover, my teacher, Messiah. They can never make you retire. You fulfill God's will, His deepest desires.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Do It Until the End podcast. I hope everyone is having an amazing week with the Trinity. Let's have an amazing podcast segment together. Now, today we're going to talk about one of the most important things if we really want to stay on this earth for a long time. One of the things that we really need to do really quite well and really need to plan and meticulously make sure that we're having this one aspect of our life almost not perfect, not like 100% perfect, but we need to make sure this aspect of our life is very well covered. And that aspect is, as many people guessed, our diet. Yes, our diet. How do you guys think about your diet? How do you guys think about the food that you eat? Is it just random, just things you grab out of the fridge? Is it just, oh, I feel like I want Mexican food today or Chinese food today? Oh, let's just get that. Or what do you guys think about your diet? I'll give you guys a couple seconds to really think about that. Do you have a plan? What kind of food do you usually have? Yeah, what's up? Like, are you what we call in the fitness industry doing a bulk? Are you cutting? Are you decreasing your calories? What are you guys doing with your diet? I'm very curious. Now, our diet is extremely important for our functionability, our mental sharpness. These things that really influence our day-to-day life can be very much influenced by how we do our diet. And I'm not saying that you always have to be cutting or you always have to be on like a strict diet, but it's always good to have a plan and really understand like the different patterns that are going within your diet. Right? So how much processed foods am I eating? How much takeout am I eating? How much fast food am I eating? Am I getting enough protein? Am I eating enough fats? And of course, I'm talking about the good fats, the bad fats, like the trans fats, saturated fats, iffy, not the greatest things in the world, right? So getting to know what kind of cravings you have, right? And how do you deal with these cravings? Do you have these cravings and you're like, man, it's like 20 degrees outside, it's Celsius outside, and it's super cold, but I just had this ice cream craving. I'm going to go to the 편의점 and walk over there. And it's like, are you that bad? Are you that down bad? Or are you like, I do have a craving for ice cream today, but I won't have it. Yeah, so dieting is one of the most important aspects, or controlling your diet is one of the most important aspects to becoming a healthier person. And that's the ultimate goal that we have, just being healthier. And for some extreme people, it might be become the healthiest I could be, right? But just overall, have an improvement in our health every single day. That is one really good goal that we can try to implement within our thoughts and our, goals. Now, let me talk to you guys about the two scenarios where in my mind, that there can be very different paths to considering our diet, right? Okay, so there's the regular person who, works out moderately, plays a little volleyball, a little bit of soccer, a little bit of basketball here and there, but they do want to really improve their diet, how much they eat. For these people, which is probably most of you guys, I would recommend cutting off the fast food. And if you want fast food and you need your fast food, which I get it. And I also like my fast food also. But within 7 days, put all your fast food or like have a cheat meal on one of those days. And then the rest of the day, just eat clean, right? Very good sources of protein, very good sources of fats, nice carbohydrates like rice, white rice, tortillas. Stay away from the more processed food. I know that every type of food is technically processed. You cannot have like off the grain rice because of like the pesticides, or technically that will also be processed, but it's very hard to find non-processed cow or meat or anything, right? So try to go and eat like minimally processed foods, drink a lot of water, and just make sure that you don't get over bloated or you have like too much. If you eat to the situation where you feel a lot of like food coma, then you kind of know that maybe you did a little bit too much. So yeah, not the greatest. And then the situation number two that I can see happening is if you want to physically achieve a goal, right? So if you're either number one, need to lose a lot of weight, or you're a bodybuilder or a powerlifter or an athlete, you consider yourself one of those things, then what you do with your diet is much more have to be calculated, right? Are you going on a bulk, eating more than your maintenance calories? Or are you going on a cut, which is less than your mandatory calories? And the most important thing I feel like for these types of people is to have a goal and stick to that goal and make sure that you are happy, right, during your bulking or cutting phase. And making sure that even though you might have those temptations, having accountability partners is very important to make sure you're going and make sure that you have a person looking at and knowing that you have this goal and help you align with that goal. But I know that majority of the people are not like this. So just eat really good food, non-processed food, of course. If you want fast food, then just put it on one cheat meal or cheat day. Don't overdo it. Eat what you think is quote-unquote healthy, and you should be fine. You know, God really has a path for each individual person in Providence. But if we kind of mess up that path by not keeping up our health or doing things that we're not supposed to do and really hinder ourselves, then of course God's plan is going to have to change, right? So let's not make that happen. Let's go until the end. Let's make God's path happen within our lives, right? So I hope everyone has an amazing rest of the week with the Trinity, and to everyone who is going until the end, let's walk this path together. Peace out, guys. Bye-bye.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head